Everybody, this is Marjory Wildcraft, and I am here in Cuba, and I'm doing an interview with an amazing woman that I've met. It's true. Now I'm gonna mess this up, and Rita will correct me. Rita Maria Ojeda.
Right.
I didn't roll it enough. Rita Maria Ojeda. Anyway, Rita also lived through the so-called special period, which you've seen from my other videos. You know that Cuba went through a very sudden, steep collapse, and it was a very, very difficult time period in this country's history. And I'm just amazed. I've been talking to you about some of your stories, and I'd love you to share some of those with the people here. You know, what do you remember from that time period? What are some of your memories of, what are some of the big things that stand out as what were some of the difficulties?
I love to forget bad things in my life, but choosing something, I could share that. For example, I remember I was talking, many persons know about the special period. You know, overnight, you see that you don't have nothing because you was living daily and you were expecting every day that the state provide to you everything you need. So overnight you see that you don't see electricity in your house, gas to cook. In the news I heard that only one roll of bread you will receive daily. And I remember I was going to my work and I was crying because I love bread.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what about the snack for my children at school? I used to put some vegetables with bread. What to do? Okay. And think about, I remember that I saw people in the street that with the skin like a gray, like paper. It was because the people was not consuming oil. The faces of the people was really, and the people, everybody was skinny, even me, that I used to be fat. And you at that time you have to invent in your house, in your life, in your daily. I saw people sleeping in the front porch because the heat, because the Cuban people continues working and the state and everything was working. You should go to your workplace, but you didn't sleep well because mosquitoes, because the heat, because there was not electricity and you didn't have water in your house, in the apartments, and you didn't have soap
to wash
wash your clothes, anything. It was really hard. I remember I was at that time working in an editorial house, and I saw somebody sit on the floor in the front of the editorial house. He was recovering because we were using bicycles daily without any food, almost any food. And that person, I saw his face and I say, what a face, you are like this. And he said, I didn't sleep last night.
Oh.
Why? Because mosquitoes, because everything. But the people were inventing, and that is because I saw people sleeping in the front porch, people sleeping in the top of the buildings.
Because of the cool air.
Because it's cooler, it's more fresh, the air around in the top of the buildings better.
So many people that I've interviewed have said that the day-to-day thing was the food, that there was not any food, and that was one of the hardest.
It was the hardest thing. But I remember I saw people in the street with some weird tying the shoes. because all the shoes of the people were broken.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I saw children only carrying brown sugar as a snack in the school. I remember people that were really dirty because we were using at the beginning to wash the clothes, salt. It was a method that we were using at that time. And the state provides, somebody was searching, and the state realized that some researching center recommend to use agave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, agave.
As a soap, yeah, the root of the agave can be used as a soap. Mm-hmm.
As a soap. And I remember one day I was talking with one of my neighbors, and one of my children came to me and said, "Mom, I need to take a shower, but we don't have soup." And I was, okay, take salt and use salt in your body, and think that is something new. And my neighbor said, "Are you allowing that you kids use salt as soup?" And I say, "I don't have anything."
Mm-hmm.
And because she was receiving remittances from United States from her relative.
Oh, from Miami.
She was receiving this, and she gave me one. I say, "Okay, party, enjoy it."
Have a bar of soap. Right?
And we were using salt to wash, to clean the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I remember once the state provided in a given point some fish to the people, and the state called everybody to crop scenes in the field as a state, and they provide vegetables to the people, and there were a lot of vegetables in the corners, and the people were raising animals in the house, and they feed the animals just with vegetables, and the animals were skinny, having this kind of diet.
Uh-huh.
I remember I was raising chickens, and the chickens have the belly like this, but they were skinny. They were eating and eating, and they never feel...
Because they aren't getting the protein that they...
Exactly.
Yeah. So people were raising chickens and pigs inside...
I raised pigs in my house, even if without condition.
Mm-hmm.
I raised 2. And I saw my children... Once my son asked to his father, "Why I have to study in the university? You are a doctor in science, you are a professor of the university, my mother is an engineer, she's an editor, and you don't have nothing." And that is something that you should keep in your life. You don't only study for economical reasons. You have to give to the people to feed the soul, to feed the spirit. The answer was that, more or less. And even I remember now, once I make croquettes.
Croquettes.
Nuggets.
Nuggets?
When you ground meat, some kind of meat, and you prepare a mass and you fry.
Huh, okay. You mean like meatballs? Or?
We call croquetas in Spanish.
Okay.
Croquettes, nuggets.
Yeah.
And I ground because I was to try to get everything from one fish. And I cut the head, and I boil the head. And I ground everything, and I make this in order to feed, real feed, to nourish, to give all the protein, everything to my children.
How was that as a parent? You had 3 children? Is it
2.
2, and they were young at that time.
They were about 11 and 8 or 9. we had this question from my son, and I remember that I used to carry my children because we had only 4 hours of electricity a day. And there was a time in which we have feed blackout some certain days in the week. And what I did at that time was to take my children and go to another area where they were not blackout. And at that time, the state provide many cultural options to the people. And there were many people doing theater, dancing, performance, etc. And I used to carry my people to those places.
So the government was trying to help the morale of the people by offering events and
and I appreciate the special period because the special period gave us the opportunity to open our skills, to provide because we were receiving everything from the socialist countries. Fuel, many pesticides in the agriculture. We were consuming a lot of
antibiotics.
And after that, because we didn't have, we changed our way. And we started using homeopathic products, floral therapy, for first time, I think. Herbs, and all kind of holistic medicine in our life for first time. And we started using more and more. We were using, but we started really using biological controls in agriculture. The people started having and practicing permaculture, having some crops in the front gardens, not flowers, something to eat.
Something to eat, yes.
And we were different. Now we are more efficient.
You use things more, you don't waste.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We waste less.
So what were some of the things that you did specifically to really try to keep your children, try to keep the family going and keeping your community together? You've talked to me about some of the things.
I remember two main things, that some people still now, they are adults now, remember. I used to gather friends, neighbors, and family with the children, and we used to go to the old section of the city. In that moment, it was not in the good condition that are now, but they were providing cultural activities. And I called the people and say, whatever you have in your house, bring it. And all the Saturdays, we used to go to that area, and we were bringing, I remember I was carrying in my bag, I was wearing pretty, let's say fancy, and I was carrying a plastic bag with ice and water and some lemonade, and the other person maybe was bringing soup.
Soup or
some kind of tea, herbs, whatever, and we shared together.
Yeah, just a picnic.
And we were the program every Saturday was going to a concert, walk through the Malecon of Havana, that is the wall, the seafront, cross the bay in a small boat, and the children who were smaller, younger, they were running and playing in the park, and we were chatting and sharing and always trying to do something. And I remember when we have a blackout. We were always trying to make everything really fast in order to have real free time. And it was an opportunity to gather everybody in the families, around the table. Mm-hmm. And we were using a lot of table games, not computers. I love computers too. Using tables games, playing guitar. I remember once I decided to make a fire in the top of my building, and there were about 8 people around, friends and neighbors. And I used to say, for example, one day I say, let's sing all the songs we know about the moon. And everybody start singing and singing, but the fire, the wood were exploding.
Oh no!
And the neighbors were complaining, "Hey, what is going on there?" But we were trying to keep our spirit alive in good conditions. And I remember once I was talking with my children, because I was seeing that the situation was really bad. Even when I was trying to improve everything, and I was not able to provide everything they need. And I remember I say one day, please sit down here, let's talk a little bit. And I say, I will explain you the life of the butterfly. The beginning is a worm that eat and eat in order to develop and to grow, to grow. And the second stage is the cocoon. And in that moment, the butterfly there is not any movement. The butterfly doesn't eat anything, don't desire anything, but the next stage is the butterfly. I promise, I don't know how, I promise that one day you will fly and you will have all the colors of the butterfly in your body, in your life. And until now, they remember this anecdote. Mm-hmm. And until now, the children and the neighbors who were going every single Saturday to that trip or tour that I used to do, they remember that with good memories. Mm-hmm. So even when you have really bad moments in your life, you have to keep the better points in your life. I think it's my way.
Just to keep. If you had any advice, as a lot of people in the United States think that the United States is set to have go through a special period. We may have economic collapse or pandemic or some major catastrophe that would be similar to Cuba, that would be long time, and would you have any advice for anybody who is preparing for that kind of an event? What things could you do to, if you'd have known before the special period that was coming, what things would you have done to prepare for that?
It would be hard to advise something for the people of the United States in this case of this special period, because we as a Cuban and growing in this social system that everybody is willing to share with the other, that the state is always providing the human rights, the real human rights for the people, like healthcare, education, and you feel that you are a human being, not beings.
Human beings.
You have a kind of training to survive for this kind of situation, I think.
Just by your society,
Exactly.
you're much stronger.
Yes.
Yeah.
But because you are, I could say, more consumer, maybe. And when you overnight and you go to the Walmart and you don't see anything, maybe you feel like, oh.
When you see all the shelves are bare.
Try to be self-sustained. Try to open your eyes to the next people you have in front of you and around you, in order that in that time you will have a community, you will have somebody around you, and you will have your heart more open for bad situations. Because the main thing is not the physical condition or material condition. You have to keep your mind, you have to keep your soul, you have to keep your heart for all the conditions in the life. And there are many stories about this in the whole world.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing. I've been spending the last week with Rita, and she's been showing me around Cuba and taking me. The reason I'm here for this trip is Cuba basically went to organic, sustainable agriculture overnight because they no longer could get the oil or the chemicals. And it's quite astonishing what they've done. And I'll have lots more videos for you. And until the next time, this is Marjory Wildcraft with Rita in Cuba.
Thank you.